episode 5. We're back. The last one of this bulk, unfortunately, but we're here. I'm joined by Jack again. You all know Jack. I'm joined by Dave yet again. Can't get rid of Dave these days, to be honest. This is the third episode.
Just never leaving.
But yeah, so I think for this episode, the kind of core topics we're talking about is the IFTA nominations, the best films, best shorts as well. Jack has some shorts I think he wants to talk about. And there's this movie out, I don't know if you've heard of it, called Joker.
No, never heard of it.
Never heard of it. No. There was another one called Parasite, and we're probably just not comparing, but trying to kind of decipher really what each film kind of core meaning was and how our interpretations of both films essentially. So we'll start off with the IFTAs. Some of these nominations, I think ones like Float Like a Butterfly, The Dig, Black 47 are the more common known ones to me anyway, and to a lot of people. These are all in 2019, but then especially before COVID, going to the cinema became a lot more uncommon because even before lockdown, going to the cinema around the end of February, early March, was
people kind of stopped doing it.
And these kind of films,
it's basically January, February, March, and then
it just kind of ended, shut down. But these films, the nominations for 2020 for IFTAs are essentially, they're not quite unheard of to me. I would know some of them.
I'm not sure if
but I think they're after going very under the radar because of it. So you got A Bump Along the Way, A Rocked, Can with Horses, Extraordinary, and Ordinary Love. Jack, would you have any kind of?
I'm excited to see A Bump Along the Way because it's a comedy, I believe, set up in Northern Ireland, a bit of a journey film. So I'm excited to see that one.
Yeah.
And I'm also excited to see Can with Horses, just mostly because of
that's online now as well.
Barry Keoghan, who's in it. It's online,
isn't it?
It's online. It's on Volta.ie.
So you can't see that.
So you can rent that, I believe. It's more expensive than Netflix or anything, but I think you're renting a film for €4.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of worth doing.
Because I would have seen Flow Like a Butterfly, I would have seen The Dig. The Dig was actually recommended to me by someone, and I didn't know of it until it was recommended to me, and I loved it.
Was that me?
It was actually someone from college.
Oh, really?
So
Dig was an interesting one.
And Flow Like a Butterfly was a very good film
also
too,
very
because
good,
it's not
Cork film.
The character in it, the main character, is not what you'd expect. I think that's what I enjoyed about it. It was great to see a female lead like that in that kind of a role.
She's actually
female director as well. I think
female director too. Yeah. She's a very good
Hazel
actress.
Dupe is in another film that's a short film that's nominated, Cunis, I believe. I think she's in Cunis, which has been.
Is that the short?
Yeah, a short
I think
nominated
that's here too.
for Best Fiction Short.
Cunis, and they have silence in brackets in case people don't know what that means.
Cunis.
I thought she was pretty good in that. She's in Cunis too.
She's in Cunis.
Well, that got nominated too. So that one obviously from 2019, but the 2020 ones I kind of want to focus on because I think you have a lot more knowledge of them than me and Dave. I think. Would you have much knowledge of the 2020 ones?
The only one that I'm familiar with, because it's the only one I've seen, is Extraordinary. If you want to check it out on Netflix, it's actually really good. I think it's by first-time director. His name escapes me, but it's basically about this drive-in instructor. Again, I can't remember the actress's name. Her name escapes me, but she is really good in it. I think she was on Republic of Telly.
Extraordinary is directed by Enda Lockman.
Yeah.
And main actors is Will Forte, Claudia Doherty, Dave Higgins, Barry Ward.
I think so, yeah.
It got 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I enjoyed 98.
Really?
Yeah.
98, yeah.
Wow, I enjoyed it as well. It's just a lighthearted.
4 or 5 on Empire, 6.4 out of 10 out of IMDb. I don't believe in IMDb.
No,
to be honest.
I think it's very unreliable. I mean, you can have anyone.
I don't believe in the Internet Movie Database. It's a lie.
I don't believe in movies.
I rate movies 10 if
I rate
like
movies.
them.
If it's on Rotten Tomatoes and it's good, it's a good film. Right? Doesn't matter about opinions.
I take Rotten Tomatoes more into account than IMDb.
But 98% is...
It's fantastic.
A very good rate.
I thought it was a good kind of piss take. Can I say that?
I don't know.
You can cut that out.
Of horror films, which is what it is.
Put that awkward beep over it.
I liked it in Irish setting too. It's kind of cool.
It had a really good tone to it as well, I think, and great performances.
So it didn't limit itself to be our Irish film.
My father's a gangman and I have to defend him. Again, that film that I said,
Get the Land,
A Bad Day for the Cut again. I thought it was going somewhere really good and then ended up being about drugs and wars and gangs again. And I just
shocker
boy.
It's just kind of annoying. But
Black 47 as well. I think that's the film that
one of the rare films about the famine.
I feel like that film came out years ago.
Yeah, I feel like
the
way you said it and described it to me, because we were talking about that there's a lack of movies about the famine. And you said, and then you're like, oh no, wait, there is one actually about it, but it only came out recently. I feel like if you're like, oh no, there is one, you think of something that was made back in 2010.
I feel like
that's
Black
unnoticed.
47 made such a big kind of wave at the time that I feel like we've been talking about for ages.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a great film.
We could sit here till next year and talk about it.
It was a revenge film.
It was, I
Gave the power to the victim, like, you know?
it's certainly one of those historical periods that has yet to be properly covered in film, I think, and it probably should be.
It's still a good movie, though.
Yeah,
but it's kind of tough to cover. Like, it's such a traumatic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think it's so traumatic. People don't even want to get into it.
That's
Yeah.
Directors.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You ready to take it on?
Yeah.
Like, who directed Black 47?
I don't know. Well, again, I don't know his name, but the main actor in it, he's Australian, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
I think 90% of his dialogue is in fluent Irish, and it's flawless.
Yeah.
Like 6 years of Leaving Cert Irish, and
that was another cool part of it.
James Freshfield, how do you pronounce that?
Irish was just a part of the film, and a very natural part of it.
A great performance by Hugo Weaving as well. He's really good in it. Very interesting character. He plays like a British soldier.
Barry Keoghan, I think he was in.
Yeah, he had a
Bad
small.
Day for the Cause as well. I think
he was.
He was in Bad Day for the Cause.
What isn't he in? He's in everything.
He's in everything these days. He's in Chernobyl.
He's
in Dunkirk.
Was he in Dunkirk?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: he also dies in that
supporting role to Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Jeez,
shocker.
I thought that was
you were mentioning that another person was nominated from Chernobyl for an EFTA this year.
Yeah, that was Killarney's own Jessie Buckley. I don't know if you guys have heard of her.
Probably served her in the Europe.
Probably, yeah.
The one times I worked there, I definitely served her at some
probably.
Stage. It's her, and he's on Chernobyl too. Obviously,
he plays a Russian soldier in it, I think. But
it's a very good series.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things.
Yeah, she was in.
Is that HBO?
Yeah, it's HBO and Sky. I think it's on Now TV. If anyone has that.
It was on Netflix, yeah.
Funnily enough, I think the first 2 episodes and episode 5 are on Now TV, but you can't watch episode 3 and 4 for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, but
the Russians don't want you to see
it. They don't. They've
don't
censored it. Yeah,
that's weird. Is that just restrictions or just?
I don't know. I think it must be something to do with the rights or something. It's really weird.
But yeah, so they're the the kind of for 2020 and 2019 the core films.
But Jessie Buckley, she's going to be one of the biggest Irish actors in the next few years.
Would you know much about the animated short films?
No, I don't.
I wouldn't delve into them.
No.
I'd love to go to Dingle Film Festival someday, which has that animated film festival. It's very.
I have in my head that these
in Ireland for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for animations.
That's cool.
Yeah.
When is that, Johnny?
I don't know actually. I think it's in springtime.
Well, I think these short films for animateds or the animated short films, I feel like would be very like lack of dialogue. I think they would be very visual. I just have in my head that there wouldn't be much.
Yeah.
I think that's where Fassbender was going that time we missed him.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Was this? I'm confused. Was this when we climbed the mountain in Brandon?
Yeah.
Was this Brandon or Carntool?
Mount Brandon, I think.
We
almost met.
There's a pump in County Camp.
County Camp. You heard it there, right?
There it should be.
Kerrytown and County Camp.
A few years ago, all of us, we decided to climb Mount Brandon, and we thought we might go to the pub afterwards for a drink, but we were too tired.
Oh, this was before. You wanted to get drunk before.
Ah, no. Well,
this guy brought up cans to the house the night before we were going to climb the mountain.
To the peak.
You're looking at him like he had 3 heads.
Yeah. And
with the amount of hair on him that day,
I know.
So, but anyway, go on.
But so we decided not to go to that pub in camp,
and he was there.
And then afterwards, we found out Michael Fassbender was there
because he was at
because he was on his way to the Dingle Film Festival.
Yeah, he's into rally driving as well. So was there something on that weekend?
He seems to have given up the acting. I think I heard he wants to get into rally driving.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
I think he's made his millions.
His Irish roots.
I think. Yeah.
I found him very irritating in Steve Jobs. I don't know.
Good performance.
Very good performance.
Just the character.
But the character, he did a good job of making sure the character was irritating.
I mean, he probably was annoying.
I'm sure he's not like that in real life.
No.
The Steve Jobs and so those are the shorts. I don't think we can go into. There's not much really more to go in. I think it's great to see stuff like characters from Chernobyl getting nominated as well. I haven't yet to see that TV series, but I'll definitely watch that after today. So those are the IFTAs. This is next film called The Joker.
Not nominated for an EFTA.
Parasite.
No.
I wanted to get into it because I did my research last night. I'm not gonna lie. I have my opinions on the films.
I think we all do. Yeah.
I think they both portray different messages. I think Joker is very much based on how the rich people having too much and poor people having too little, and how it affects. I think Joker is based into depression. Set into depression.
Well,
that's the theme of the film. That is anyway. Especially you get that feel of it when you're watching it.
A ruined economy.
I think it's about a not so good guy, and basically how over time he becomes the bad guy. But you're just trying to figure out at what point in the film does he actually does that click? Because for me, it's very hard to find a point in the film where as soon as you start watching it that he's going to turn. He's going to flip out at some point. He's going to twist his mentality state. But I find it quite hard to pick out the one point where you can see that turned.
It's an inherent flaw with the film, I think. I mean, I think
it's designed to make you uncomfortable.
It has its merits. I mean, it's really well shot. The music is fantastic. I think it won Best Original Score at the Oscars. Yeah. And obviously Joaquin Phoenix, he was fantastic in the movie. And Robert De Niro as well. But I think they
did not get on either.
Very muddled in its messaging, I think.
And as you were saying, that transition of the message or of his character, it's like his character didn't actually become a bad guy. It's just
he
somehow
becomes very empathetic, I think.
Like, is that a problem with the film? Is that he's not actually?
Well, I think
you don't feel like
flaw
he's
with the film is it doesn't necessarily pin his actions on him. It's kind of saying this was inevitable. This is what society has done to him.
Oh, you know what's so weird?
That's a really bad line in the film.
Something I noticed during the film that I just remember now is he keeps talking to women who are like his social worker, his therapist. He keeps talking to them and getting angry with them. And those are the only...
Because he thinks they don't listen,
They're the only women in the entire film that he's... Maybe I'm wrong here, that he's talking to.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, it's so creepy. Like, he's talking to this woman. She's like trying to help him. And he's like...
You wouldn't get it, yeah.
You just wouldn't get it. And then he's like walking away with blood on the footsteps.
That's him giving up on people trying to help him.
Well, women trying to help him.
I think when Actually, isn't there a scene where he like pretends he's his neighbour... The girl, she's the girl from the actress from Deadpool. She's in it, and she's his neighbor. And there's like a scene where he like imagines like being in his own room with her and stuff. And then it ends up being not real.
Well, I remember.
So how do we know if there's any scene with her that's actually real? That's what I was thinking.
Well, the implication is like obviously they weren't in a relationship at all.
I don't think she was actually even living in the building personally. I think she was.
Well, she was.
I think he was just somebody. She was somebody that he saw on the street.
Maybe, but didn't he go into her apartment at one stage?
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
See, I've watched it. I've only watched it once,
you need to
and I kind of pay attention to big scenes.
What's that word? He's projecting his desires and wishes and everything.
Yeah.
So, but there's this film where it's an individual person trying to find justice for himself that he thinks he deserves. Whereas with Parasite by Bong Joon-ho in Korea, it's kind of a similar themes of powerful people and less powerful people, but it's a collective action rather than an individual thing. It's a family rather than this one solitary guy, one solo hero who's fighting against what he thinks.
But you could say with Joker that, and again, it's kind of we'll get into that flaw as well, but he unintentionally inspires this massive uprising.
An uprising of individuals. Yeah. Like it's a group of, a mob of individuals.
Yeah.
Which is a very American kind of thing.
Yeah. But you get the sense he doesn't necessarily have any political ideas himself.
Libertarian.
Yeah, I know.
Do you think Joker is kind of designed more to appeal to lower class folks?
I saw an article arguing that Parasite is more aimed at people who are upper and middle class.
Yeah,
and
I think it's about how the lower class would have if they had Parasite is like telling me that if the lower class had money, that they would be nicer.
Yeah, well, clear. I mean, Joker did resonate with a lot of people.
There was a scene in Parasite where he's like, "Oh, come on, if you had that much money, you'd be a nicer person."
Yeah,
and it's kind of I don't know, the kind of. I feel like the Parasite was aiming more at that kind of side of it, whereas Joker was just really kind of aiming at the lower class, and that they literally the only thing that they can do about it is what happened.
I don't think lower class or working class people found or identified with the film. Maybe they did, but like people who don't have any other hope identified with the film.
Yeah,
and they could have been from any sort of background, but it seems like a lot of people who are primarily male identified with the film. And I
think it just woke me up to a lot of different things.
Yeah, well, I hate to say this word now because it makes me sound like a right snob, and I didn't want to.
But you are a snob, so it's fine.
That's fine. A film snob. But
what's the word?
I think Parasite.
Anyone with a name Dave.
I was like, don't say the word. No.
Anyone go on?
I think Parasite is a lot more nuanced with how it deals with.
You said that word many times.
Than Joker.
I read that word lots of times in many reviews.
And it's
nuance.
Yeah. Well, I think the key difference is how the middle or upper class in both films look down on the lower class. In Parasite, it's very subtle.
Well, in Joker, sorry, keep going.
But in Joker, literally every single, like those guys on the train, the guys that beat him up, like they are so cartoonishly like over the top, evil rich guys. They might as well have like had T-shirts saying we're meant to be Donald Trump and all that.
Yeah.
They're just so over the top, I felt. But in Parasite, it was a lot more subtle with how what's the name of the family in the upper class family in Parasite. Yeah, but yeah, it's very subtle with how they talk. I mean, they
when they're on their phone calls and they're discussing firing
they were saying,
and hiring
it's raining, so we can't go on our camping trip. But as they're saying that, the poor family, their house is literally being flooded.
Yeah.
So so it doesn't necessarily spell it out for you. It just shows you through the visuals. But in Joker, it tells you the themes explicitly through the dialogue, and it just hammers you over the head with it constantly. And it's
like in Joker, they seem to do. Well, it was very different in the fact that in both films, Joker, the lower class treat the upper class very disrespectfully.
Yeah,
whereas the lower class then in Parasite seemed to work pretty well for the upper class.
Well,
that was one thing as well that I read.
Well,
but then I was like, they would still go behind their back and.
So the working class people in Parasite are working and disguising their true feelings because they're in that situation where they have to disguise their true feelings. Yeah. I feel like, as you were saying, it's more cartoonish in Joker. It doesn't actually portray how the working class are.
No.
It's portraying an angry.
The odd 1 in 10 people.
He's like,
I hate saying that because it's actually big.
He's like, poor me. But that's not actually representative of.
And he gets
life.
called out for that in the film.
That's
Robert
a story kind of trope. It's like he's. They really tried to make him, what's the word, underdog like.
Well, I think another thing you can look at is they both kind of end in a similar way. It portrays that inevitably the lower class will lash out.
Yeah.
Right? But I think they both approach it very differently. Because with Parasite, he doesn't necessarily have a happy ending. Because remember, he kind of gets lost from his family and he has to be on the run for the rest of his life. And it's a very bleak ending. Whereas with Joker, even though he gets locked up, you get the sense that now finally he is happy. He's kind of reached that state of peace.
He doesn't need to, because like you said, when he's like, you wouldn't get it. He doesn't need the feeling to tell people now.
Yeah.
Or to express himself to people.
I feel like those characters, the characters in Joker and Parasite are both a little bit super, what's the word?
Hero?
No. They're like kind of nasty to each other. They're like not the nicest people.
Like over the top nasty.
The main characters to the upper class.
No, not to the upper class or whatever. Just to in general, they're a bit.
Oh, right, okay.
Self-obsessed a little bit. They're kind of using people. Like Joker, he's using his clown fellow employees. He's using people to get onto the show.
Yeah. De Niro and Joaquin Phoenix did not get on as well.
No, very two different actors.
Joaquin, in a way, kind of helped though. I think Joaquin refused to do a table read.
Yeah.
Or De Niro says that every film he does a massive table read, and then Joaquin refused to do it, and he eventually kept going. De Niro kept at Joaquin Phoenix saying, "Come," and he did in the end. But he took him outside and said, "Look, we're going to have a problem here." He kind of acknowledged the fact that they will not get on. But I think that kind of, because their characters,
they don't like each other anyway. So
I think, but that scene where he kills him with the gunshot, that was the coldest scene I've ever been involved in the cinema before.
Yeah,
that was chilling to me. That was the one time where there was, because we have a funny story about that, where some drunk fellow walked into the screen at the time, and that was obviously going to light, especially in the Gate Cinema, that's going to lighten the mood, because the crowds in the Gate Cinema are always very crowdy, great people. Like, it's very funny. It's kind of film if you want to see like a real, like if you want to go to see a movie with a group of friends, that's the cinema to
like
go
a big blockbuster or something. Yeah.
So that already the mood was kind of jokey, funny, and it was actually during a big scene he walked in, but it was still kind of jokey laughter up until that point, and that was you could literally hear a pin drop as soon as he was killed, and that to me is probably the one turning point where you can say, okay, he's clicked there, the character.
But that's kind of based off of real life, events. Like people, like a news worker in America did actually kill their fellow co-host on air, live, and that happened several times in America. Like, so it's kind of a weird one where they're like, in America, gun crime like this has risen over the past 20 years, but they keep idolizing it. Like there was a film made back in the 1990s. Can't remember what it was, but it was basically, what's the guy who was in A White Man Can't Jump? Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson is playing a guy who goes nutso in a LA traffic jam, and he starts shooting up the highway. And we follow him on his day as he's taking revenge on people who's wronged him. And making a film like that today would be kind of very not great for obvious reasons, because this has happened so many times. So I think it's a weird one that Joker is idolizing these people with mental illness that do snap and do take out their frustration with something that's very easily done, which is killing.
Well, I think people see what they want to see in movies. I think.
Yeah, I mean, like some people see a hero.
Yeah.
And some people
I think the difference there is with Joker, it almost agrees with people who would think like that.
So people reach the point where they think killing somebody like that is the solution. Because in their mindset, they think that it's the right solution, but it's the only solution.
Well,
I think.
I think clearly the biggest comparison you can make with Joker is Taxi Driver, but I think they're very two different in how they view the main character. Because I think Taxi Driver
is creepy.
I haven't seen Taxi Driver in a while,
but it doesn't. The key difference. I'm not saying all films have to be the same, but I'm just saying how maybe one works better than the other. But in Taxi Driver, I don't think it necessarily agrees with him, because the character's given so many chances to pick the right path, but he never does.
Yeah.
Like he goes on that date with that girl and that ends disastrously and everything. But with Joker, you feel like it really isn't his fault. He's not accountable for his own actions. I don't know. I just feel like
I find it hard to like characters that always do the right thing or always do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels like Joker's doing the right thing. Yeah. That he's it
feels like this is justifiable. Yeah, this is our fault. And
in Parasite, I think it's interesting that it's a very clever kind of setup that you're following them enacting their plans. You know, like the father's like, oh, what do we do? And then he's like, oh, I know what to do. And then the first kind of third of the movie is them setting up these plans. And then these plans, you're really hoping that it goes well for them. I kind of, I wanted them to succeed at their mission, like, and then you're feeling bad for them as it all kind of collapses around them. And you know that last scene where I don't want to spoil it there now, but
it's a great film. If
I know they
hasn't
watched
watched
it.
You feel sorry for them after all their kind of manipulative behavior. You still feel sorry for them as they're getting kind of comeuppance. Like,
oh yeah. Well, I think even the middle class family, they feel like real people in it, or the upper class family. Yeah. Because in Joker, they just feel like cartoons in a way.
Well, I think they're comparing Thomas Wayne, who's upper class, especially in Gotham.
Yeah.
But then the one in Parasite, it just seemed like upper middle
class.
But
is that like a superhero thing though?
It's not. Really, it's not. It's original.
He's not like
film.
that in the comics. You know?
No, but I mean, like, the rich people, like, oh, hey,
but
boy,
that's the thing. The film,
that's like a cartoon.
It is, but I think they aim to make high art with that film, and they kind of didn't, I guess. But
one thing I was so worried about was that scene with Kane where you can see Bruce Wayne, kid Bruce Wayne.
I thought that element of the movie was,
and they were going to shoot him. I was waiting for them to Joaquin Phoenix Joker to shoot him. Yeah, I really that didn't come. To play.
That element of the film was really, relaxed, I think.
Like even for my criticism of the film, I really enjoyed the film.
Oh yeah,
I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah. Even though I hated it so much, it was such a good film.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think
appreciated it as a cinematic experience.
Enjoying watching it.
Coming out of it, I was like, damn, I can understand what the criticisms are, but during the film, I was like, yeah. But I don't know what point I kind of stopped. Like, wait a second.
It made a lot of money.
Oh yeah, it made like
over. I as well remember I said a few episodes ago. I was like, oh, it's the first to break like 2 billion. It was the first comic book movie to reach over $1 billion.
Joker?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Original comic book movie.
Oh, original.
Yeah. So not like part of the
Marvel
not like
Avengers
series.
or anything.
Do you know what point I think it was? It was the mobs. The mobs. The Minecraft mobs at the end.
We don't play Minecraft.
Who
never heard of it.
Who were kind of following the lead of the Joker. But like completely, I don't know. You're like, wait a second, they're not doing this violence for any particular reason.
Yeah.
At least with the Joker, we're like, oh, we feel sorry for him. Oh, poor this guy. But with everyone else, you're just like, these are just.
Where did they all get similar masks from at such a short space of time too?
I know.
Yeah, that confused me a bit as well. As soon as he came out of the studio when he kills what's the TV host's name? Murray.
Murray.
Yeah, they're all suddenly everything is within such a short space of time. The city's turned upside down.
So I was just questioning, what's the message? The messaging behind
I don't think
the
it
film.
knows itself, to be honest.
It's like the whole violence that was all going on in his kind of head for such a long time. Throughout the whole film,
Like,
that's what we were struggling to see.
It doesn't have to have a message necessarily, but it's just troubling when people put their own message on it, and it
was the most conversational I've ever been.
Well, I think
after a film.
I think someone, going back to Taxi Driver, someone was inspired by that movie and tried to kill Ronald Reagan. Do you remember that?
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
They
really?
said Taxi Driver. Yeah.
Fighting the power.
Yeah. Because there's a scene in Taxi Driver where he tries to kill a presidential candidate.
Yeah.
So people are going to take whatever they want from films, I guess.
They see what they want to see.
Yeah, they see what they want to see.
Another, I think, film that's similar but addressed differently is King of Comedy.
Very good film, actually.
Scorsese film.
I think if anyone has
again, a guy that doesn't miss often, 100%.
Yeah.
If anyone's seen Joker, they should probably just watch Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. I think it deals
King
with
of
all
Comedy
those
was
themes
so
much better. Great film.
You kind of you're cringing. You're like
cringing.
You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Despicable character,
but then you
though.
begin to dislike him.
Yeah, he's
at the
horrendous.
beginning you're like, oh, the poor guy. Ooh.
Yeah.
But then at the end you're like, nah, boy.
Joaquin Phoenix, up until he shot Joker for 6 months, ate only an apple every day.
Jesus.
That was one thing that made me very uncomfortable in the set. There was a lot of scenes where he is
too many apples.
Do you see the amount of scenes where there's apples in the background?
Yeah, I know.
There were scenes where he was like he's pretending he's coming on the Murray show. It's not called the Murray show. It's definitely called something else. But
I think it's the Murray show.
Is it? But he's like shirtless and he's doing all his dancing and stuff. And I think the scene of him in the bathroom, the famous scene with the music.
But again,
I don't think that was. I think that was all off the cuff.
Yeah, but what does it mean? Because I think I saw a quote from Todd Phillips. He's like, "Oh, it's an impression of a painting," and then you look into.
This is just after he kills the people on the train.
I think so, yeah. And
he
then
literally runs away from them, comes in and takes blood on his top or something.
Yeah, but you can't find any connection. You're like, well, why did you put that in? It's almost...
I think because, as you said, a killing is his form of release.
Yeah.
That's him finally kind of releasing himself in that bathroom just after killing somebody. Maybe.
Releasing himself.
It could... Other people could see different things. So.
Yeah. Did you guys... when you're in the newscaster scene, the news presenter, did anyone ever imagine Ryan Tuberty when you were watching that scene? Because I kind of did.
The setup is literally like the Late Late Show in a mirror. Yeah. The Late Late Show is the other way around. Tuberty's on the other side.
Yeah.
They couldn't get him.
It's alt reality, Ryan Tuberty.
They couldn't get Tubbs, so they had to go for De Niro.
Jeez. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's probably what the...
I think it would have worked better if they set it in the present, if anything.
It was kind of set in the non-specific...
Well, they did that because that's when Taxi Driver and King of Comedy were set.
Did it actually have the 80s feel? I can't remember.
Yeah,
it was kind of one of those non-specific retro style.
Yeah.
No, I got the 80s feel from it.
For sure, yeah.
I like the kind of sets of films anyway.
Did anyone see any other films by Bong Joon-ho?
Oh, loads. Memories. He deals with...
similar themes.
Class themes in nearly all his films.
He did a film called The Host.
That's a great film, actually.
Yeah.
Great film.
I didn't think I'd like it.
There's a really bad film called The Host with Saoirse Ronan. That's not the one we mean.
Oh yeah, no, sorry.
Memories of a Murder, though.
Fantastic film.
And Mother. They both kind of deal with a murderer. But in one film, you have someone who is accused of murder who didn't do it. And then in another film,
Memories of Murder,
you have similarly, it's a person with disabilities.
Based on a true story, isn't it?
I think so,
yeah.
It's a great film,
but,
actually.
So yeah, that's Joker versus Parasite.
Yeah.
Personally, I think both of them are good films. Parasite obviously did pip the...
I think it's because I just didn't enjoy watching Joker. I understand everything that was good in it. It's just one of those films that you just feel down when watching it. Whereas Parasite, even though it deals with all those themes, it's just immensely enjoyable to watch, I think.
Well, you'll never guess. We're past half hour.
Oh my God,
no.
But
not again.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was something I think I wanted to get both your opinions off. But yeah, thanks again to the lads for coming on.
Very happy to be on the best film podcast in Cork.
Obviously.
The only film podcast in Cork.
All right. Cheers, boys.
All right.
Cheers.
That's episode 5.
Thanks.
Till next time.
All right.